He decided from that moment that he saw this picture, that's why I said it can be a bit disturbing. He decided that he's never eating gammon because for him this looks like gammon.
Let's take a trip across the sea, somewhere far away, and just be free. A place times don't go, we can call it our paradise. Just you and I, now wouldn't that be nice? Oh, it's our paradise, staying up all night. Just you and I, under the moonlight.
What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is not going to be a vlog, it's not going to be a skit, it's not going to be a prank, but today we are actually doing our very first story time on this channel. Ooh, I'm so excited! Before we continue, don't forget to click on that subscribe button so that you are up to date for my future videos, and click on that notification bell so that you receive my notification for when I post my next video. And lastly, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of today's story time, and if you think I should do more story time. Today we are actually going to speak about a subject that is very personal to me. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually a very private person. So what I show on YouTube is basically 40% of what's really happening in my life. And this is one of the subjects that I've been meaning to speak about on my channel for a long time, but I've always had excuses, this thing and the other. But I think it just boils down to I wasn't comfortable speaking about it because I went through it. Because I've been thinking about doing this video for the last 2 years, I couldn't find the pictures because I took a lot of pictures when this happened, and I couldn't find the pictures for that specific period. But I did find one picture, which is the most important picture. Just a disclaimer that the image that I am going to put up later in the video might be offensive to sensitive viewers. So if you are sensitive to these types of things, or if you feel that the content of today's video is too sensitive, please feel free to click off the video. I will, before I put the picture up, I will let you guys know in advance when I'll be putting the picture up. So if you feel you need to exit out at that point, please feel free to do so. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So I just need to give you guys context before I start with the story time so that you guys can understand the timeline and how this happened. This was about, let's say, 6 years ago. I was very thin. I weighed probably just more than 50, and I was single and I was happy and enjoying life. And then I met Sean and I just became a little bit more, you know, subtle. What's the word? I became, you know, more peaceful in my approaches. Shortly before I met Sean, I also got my first car, and I stopped walking, and I wasn't as active as I used to be, and I started experimenting in the kitchen with recipes, cooking. I was just having a ball of a time in the kitchen. Within this period, I started gaining weight. And I just thought, okay, you know, the older you get, your metabolism starts slowing down. So maybe that is what was happening to me at the time. And I didn't really pay any attention to it. I just went on and I just assumed that I would lose the weight like I usually lost the weight, because I used to be a big eater. I remember one of my ex-colleagues at the time telling me that I eat like a man, because I would eat so much food and not gain weight at all. Fast forward 2 years, I gained probably 20 kilograms. Within this time, I started noticing that I was always tired, and I never had energy, and I had this heartburn on my stomach that I couldn't get rid of. And then I decided, well, you know what? Clearly, I'm not going to be losing this weight that I've gained. So let me do something about it. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go on an eating plan. And so that's actually the second video that I posted on this channel about 3 years ago. And that was my second round of the eating plan when I posted that video. So I decided to go on the eating plan, and it was a 28-day eating plan. So within this eating plan, you eat healthy, and they show you how to eat. They give you ideas of what you can eat. For me, everything was new. I didn't even know that I needed to eat healthy. Like for me, my staple food would be chicken, rice and potatoes, and that would be it. That's my food. And so I obviously changed my eating habits, and I changed my portion. My portions were a little bit smaller, and I stuck to this eating plan, and I lost the weight. Within a month I lost 12 kilograms, which was not what my initial weight was. It wasn't my goal that I set out for me, but I lost so much weight that the clothes that I had to buy when I was gaining the weight didn't fit me anymore, and the clothes that I was putting aside, because I had to put my clothes aside when I was gaining the weight, so those small clothes started fitting me again, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on the right track, I'm losing the weight. But I noticed that the symptoms that I had when I was gaining the weight are still there. I still have the heartburn, and I still have this low energy and forever sleeping. I couldn't understand, why is this not going away? I've lost the weight. So it was supposed to go away. It didn't. So I noticed that I lost the weight, but I am struggling to lose weight in my stomach. The bottom part of my stomach. The lower abdomen. And I couldn't understand, and I thought, okay, maybe that is where that's my problem area. That is where I cannot lose weight, because I lost weight in my arms, in my legs, in my stomach, the top part. My boobs were like so small, and my stomach just wouldn't go down. And I thought, okay, maybe that's my problem area. You know, when I do my exercises, because exercises was part of my routine when I followed the eating plan. When I do my exercises, I'm going to focus on my core. That is what I need to focus on. And I did my exercises to the point where I can actually see my middle was decreasing, but this bulge in my stomach stayed there. It didn't go down. You've got those rolls, right? So this bulge that I had in my stomach wasn't a roll at all. It was a solid bulge in my stomach. And for me, I was just like, you know, maybe it's from those tough fat, tough fat that you can't get rid of. It's like,
I'm gonna sit here, I'm not gonna go anywhere, you're not gonna get rid of me.
One day I woke up and I couldn't get up. My feet felt like there was so much weight on my feet that it started to pain, and I couldn't carry myself. I couldn't put the one foot in front of the other foot. I struggled to get from the bed to the cupboard just to get dressed. Couldn't get there. Then I'm like, okay, maybe it's time. You know, maybe it's time. After all these problems that I've had, maybe it's just time to go to the doctor, and the doctor will be able to explain what the hell is going on, because right now I don't even have any more answers. I did what I was supposed to do because I had the heartburn. I thought it was overweight, and that's why I had the heartburn, and I lost the weight, and but the heartburn stayed, and energy levels were still low, and now I'm sitting with this problem of my feet not wanting to carry me. And I don't have that much weight on my legs, so what is the problem that my feet cannot carry me? Anyway, I made an appointment with the doctor, and I went to the doctor. The doctor did the normal vitals, you know, checked the blood and everything was fine. And he's like, you can't find anything wrong. So he doesn't understand where this problem is coming from. So the doctor said, okay, before I discharge you, I'm gonna just do a full body check, just to check if everything is fine. He does the check, and he's like, when last did you have your period? And I told him, I finished my period last week. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, doctor, I'm sure. I finished my period last week. He's like, okay, let's just do a pregnancy test just to, you know, cancel out that idea. I'm like, doctor, I know I'm not pregnant. There's no way that I'm pregnant. I would have known if I was pregnant. He's like, well, let's just do the test. I agree. I take the test comes back negative. He does the full body check again, but when he moves to my stomach, I can see his face like changes, man, like there's something wrong, and I can see it, but he's not saying anything. And I ask him, what's wrong? And he's like, no, nothing, there's nothing to worry about. He just needs to get a second opinion on this. Now I'm freaking out. So he goes out, he gets the female doctor, she comes back in, and she does the whole check again. She gets my stomach, same reaction on her face. And she asked me the same things that he asked me. When last did I get my period? Do I get my period on a regular basis? I'm like, I finished my period last week. I get it every month, like religiously. I never skip my period. So I know exactly what day of the month I get my period, and I get it every month. And no, I'm not pregnant. We took a pregnancy test, so I know I'm not pregnant. And she's like, well, there's something growing in your stomach. Something huge in your stomach. You come across as someone that is 16 weeks pregnant. I looked at her, I'm like, so it's not fat? She's like, no, it's definitely not fat. It's something that is there that does not belong there, and it looks like it's situated in your uterus. First thing that comes to mind, of course, cancer. I'm thinking, oh my Lord, I'm going to die. I have cancer. I am definitely going to die. What else could it be? Because I haven't heard of anything other than cancer that would, you know, be that hard and that big, because it was massive. Before that, I haven't even mentioned the word cancer, but the doctor obviously knew what I was thinking. So he's like, we're not going to think of anything, we're not going to jump to any conclusions, we are just going to go and make an appointment with a gynecologist for him to check you out to see what exactly it is. And now he's telling me, and please do me a favor and do not go Google your symptoms, because Google is not going to help you. That weekend before I went to the gynecologist was like the longest weekend of my life. I obviously did exactly the opposite of what the doctor said. I went and I Googled the shit out of what the hell could be in my stomach. And I was convinced that it was cancer. The appointment, I think, was the Monday. I go to the gynecologist and he does his check and he does a scan. The doctor told me that I'm sitting with a uterine fibroid, and the only way to have this thing removed is via surgery. Cannot have it removed any other way, only via surgery. Now, if you know me, you will know that I'm the type of person, I will wait till I'm on my deathbed before I go to the doctor. Like, literally, it was by chance that I went to the doctor that day. Me, it was just, there was too many things going wrong. Like, I had the one thing after the other, and then it was my feet, and so I knew something was wrong, and I knew I needed to have myself checked out, and that's why I went to the doctor. But I thought the doctor was going to say, no, you know, it's just a flu or whatever, and it wasn't. And now I need to go for surgery. Like, they need to cut me. It's literally a C-section that they need to do on me. So I'm going to go to the hospital and I'm going to walk out with no baby, nothing, but they've cut a C-section because they need to cut into the uterus to take that mass out. After the doctor told me it was a fibroid, and he said it's only one, but it's a massive fibroid. The fibroid was so heavy in my womb that it caused stress on my feet. And even though I wasn't overweight or I wasn't heavy, because that fibroid is right here on this pelvic area, it's right here in this area, so it's putting pressure on my legs, which in turn then puts the pressure on my feet. And then, of course, I went to go and Google fibroid, because I'm like, nope, I'm not going for this surgery. I'm not having anyone cut on me. I've never been for an operation. I'm too scared to even go to the doctor. Never mind going into surgery, because I'm gonna die on that table. Right, like, that is my luck. I'm gonna die. In my research, I found out that all of the symptoms that I had was an indication that I had of the fibroid. So firstly, the heartburn that I had, because this thing was in my stomach wasn't properly digesting the food, and that caused the heartburn, because my heartburn was so bad. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't eat fish, I couldn't eat wheat pigs. Anything would give me heartburn, and the heartburn tablets that I was taking wasn't working at the time. I remember I walked into a shop one day and the aircon was so cold. Like, for a normal person it would be a normal temperature, you know, but for me the aircon felt so cold, and the coldness I could only feel in my lower abdomen. So I didn't feel it anywhere else, not my arms, nothing. It's just here in my stomach, and I couldn't understand. It felt like period cramps that time. That I remember one of the shop assistants came to me and asked me if I'm okay, what is going on, must I call a doctor? I'm like, no, I'm fine, I don't know what's happening, but I'm sure I'm fine. that was another sign that I had the fibroid. One of the things that I also noticed throughout this period was that my hair started falling out. I was losing hair in bunches. Like there would be little bald spots on my scalp, the way I would lose hair. My ponytail used to be this thick because I naturally have like thick hair. And my hair started falling out to the point where my ponytail was this thin. And I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was causing it. But that is the reason why I did my big chop. That was all because of the fibroid that was stopping blood circulation going to my scalp. And so because there was no blood circulation going to the hair follicle, it just caused the hair to fall out in bunches. It was the saddest thing ever to wash my hair and see all of this hair come out. And at the time I didn't know it was the fibroid, but once I did my research I found out that the hair fallout was because of this fibroid that I had. So even though the fibroid was benign and it wasn't life-threatening, the side effect of it or the symptoms of it can cause a lot of destruction. So I googled fibroids and natural remedies and at-home remedies, and there was a lot of suggestions on Google. This person used this and that person used that, and I remember at the time I went to one of the health shops here close by and I bought all of that stuff, those health products. That's natural remedies. They are so expensive. But I'm like, I'd rather pay so much than have someone operate on me. And so I went and I bought all of the stuff. One of the stuff was the hot water bottle on your stomach. So you put castor oil on your stomach, and then you put and you wrap saran wrap around your stomach, and you put the hot water bottle on, and that will stimulate your blood circulation. There was a whole lot, like I can't even remember what I tried. Like I tried it for about 3 months, and then I came to realize that even though I'm using all of these natural remedies, which maybe it worked for someone else, but I don't think it's working for me, because there's no way that I can measure to see if it's actually shrinking the fibroid. There is absolutely no way. So I'm going to be wasting, because I've already wasted 3 months, I'm going to waste more months and more money trying out these natural remedies, and it might not work at the end of the day. So I decided that, okay, let's just do this thing. We just need to pray about this, that I get out of surgery and that everything goes well. And I made the appointment and I was booked into surgery. I got to the hospital and they need to take your vitals before they book you in for surgery. So now I'm at the hospital, I'm ready, like now my mindset has changed. I want to do this, but I want to get it over and done with. Like, let's just get this over and done with so that we know it's out. It is out. So get to the hospital and they take my vitals, and the guy comes back and he's like, I just need to take your vitals again, because I'm not sure if the results are wrong. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, nothing, relax. They'll tell me relax, because I can see something is happening here. Like, you're not going to tell me that I can't have a surgery today. I was going to make the biggest noise, because mentally I prepared myself, I'm going to have the surgery today and get it over and done with. You're not going to send me home today. He comes back, he does the vitals again. And he's like, we are sitting with a bit of a problem. And I'm like, what is the problem? And it tells me that they can't perform the surgery because my iron levels are too low. I'm like, iron levels? Like, I've never had problems with iron levels. What is going on? Like no one has ever said anything about iron levels before, because I never had it checked out, because I didn't go to the doctor. So I asked him, so what is my iron level on? And he's like, it's on 6. And I say, okay, and what should the level be on? 12. He's like, for us to send you into surgery today is a high risk, because if you bleed out on that table, then your body won't be strong enough to fight. The only option that I have is they need to do a blood transfusion first, and then I can go into surgery. I'm sitting there and I'm stressed, and I'm like, what if they can't find my blood type? Or now I must get someone else's blood first. I was just stressed. But once again, my iron levels were low again because of the fibroid. So what happened was, during the time that I had the fibroid, my periods were very, very heavy. I remember that I used to make the bed so dirty when it was that time of the month that I had to change the bedding every day. And I would go to work on, let's say it's day 1, and that's a day that, you know, your flow is the heaviest. I go to work and I would make the chair dirty that I'm sitting on. I would make my clothes dirty that I'm sitting on. They would need to send me back home. The months after that, I just decided, look here, if it's day 1 of my period, I'm just gonna stay home, because I can't be doing this every month, making chairs and stuff dirty and clothes dirty, and then they send me home anyway. But before that, my period was fine. It was normal. It's just all of a sudden it started changing and it started getting heavier. But that is why my iron levels were low. The fibroid caused my periods to become heavier, and I bled out more, I lost more blood, and I lost more iron, and that's how my iron levels dropped. And that's also the reason why I was constantly tired. Anyway, so we did a blood transfusion and I went into surgery. I remember being wheeled into the surgery. Obviously now I was a bit drowsy because of the medication that they gave me. I'm being wheeled into surgery and I'm still joking because I still couldn't really believe that I'm going into surgery. I'm half drunk. I can't believe I'm going into surgery, and I'm joking around, and I'm telling one of the guys that was wheeling me, and I'm like, do you guys really have to be so dramatic? I mean, I could have just walked there by the surgery room, because it's literally just down the passage. I was wheeled into theatre, and the moment I was wheeled into theatre, I can remember I was laying on the bed, and the doctor said he will be with me now because they were preparing my bed. And by the time he came back, I was gone. I was gone. Luckily, because I wouldn't want to be awake when something like that happens. And then they did the procedure, which is basically the same like a C-section. Is exactly a C-section. They have to cut through all of the layers to get to your uterus, and then remove the mass or the fibroid in your uterus, and then stitch you back up. And they were done with the surgery. I can't remember anything of the surgery, but I do remember, which is so weird, I was on cue. So when they were done with the surgery, they wheeled me back to like the waiting area in the theater, and the doctor came to me and he like just touched me like this and said, you can wake up now. And I was awake. It's like mentally I was waiting for someone to tell me you can wake up now, everything is fine, because he just touched me like this and he's like, you can wake up now, and I was awake. Like, that was just the weirdest thing. I was at home for about 6 weeks. The doctor booked me off. After I think like a week, I had to go and have the stitches removed. But I was at home for 6 weeks, and that was during the December time, and that is when I just discovered what they called Musical.ly at the time. So I found Musical.ly so entertaining that I was like, no, but let's give YouTube a try. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. And that's why if you go look back on my first videos now, you'll see I was a lot thinner back then than what I am now, because I was still in the 28-day thing. That is my experience with uterine fibroids. There is a possibility that it might come back, that it might grow back. I do go for annual gynae checks. I haven't gone this year yet because of COVID, but I do plan on going. It's not end of this year, early next year, just for a checkup. My last checkup, it was clear, the fibroid didn't return. So, and this is probably why you guys came, and that's why I left it for right till the end, because I want you guys to listen to my story first. My fibroid that was in my uterus weighed, I think, just over 600 grams. was this big. This big. So I'm going to post a picture of what the fibroid looks like. I made sure to get a picture from the gynae because he had to obviously send this fibroid that they took out to the lab for testing to see if there was any cancer, and it came back no cancer. So I'm going to post a picture of what my fibroid looked like. It was a massive fibroid. My doctor said it's the biggest one he's seen so far. They can't medically explain what causes a fibroid. So I'm just prone to growths and things like that, and I think that's why I got the fibroid. But without further ado, let me show you guys what the fibroid looks like. I'm gonna post it now over here. So it's a massive fibroid. Once Jean saw this fibroid, he decided from that moment that he saw this picture, that's why I said it can be a bit disturbing. He decided that he's never eating gammon because for him this looks like gammon. I laugh about it now, but it was actually a very traumatic time in my life. But so now you guys know what a fibroid looks like. It's basically just tissue, growth tissue. Luckily for me, it wasn't cancerous, it was non-cancerous. It's basically just an overgrowth of tissues that happened in my uterus somewhere. That is the reason why I decided to make this video, because someone else might be going through the same thing. Someone else might be having the same symptoms that I had and not know what's happening. Someone else might be having a bulge in their stomach somewhere, because the fibroid can be inside the womb or inside the uterus or outside. It's more dangerous if it's inside, especially if you plan on having a baby, because that fibroid will take the space of a baby. So if the fibroid is small enough, there's still space for the baby to grow, but the size of my fibroid, there's no way a baby would have survived in that uterus. So yeah, so those were my symptoms, and that is what I went through. That is how my fibroid looked, and I'm so sorry if I traumatized anyone who was watching this video, but I just wanted to bring awareness to the subject. Directly, it's not dangerous, but it can affect your organs. So if the fibroid should grow to a size, it can affect some other organs in your stomach or in your uterus or in your womb or in your reproductive system. So in that sense, it can be dangerous. But that brings us to the end of today's video, guys. If you did make it to the end of this story time, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys would like another story time. Until next time, guys, goodbye, God bless.
Let's take a trip across the sea.